Monster Hunter Wilds is a game where you hunt monsters in the wilds. You see, as a hardcore Monster Hunter fan that only plays World and nothing else, I've been waiting for a new game for 7 years already. And Rise doesn't count because that looks like a Roblox map. And I've been enjoying World for the most part, but its architecture was just horrible. You can't even call Astera a place. You don't play this game for the architecture, I get that, but God forbid for the story. And that's understandable because both are simply non-existent. And that's what I've accepted until today, the day Monster Hunter Wilds is going to be released. Because I believe this game has a town, a structure, just something better than what World had to offer. I believe this game has a form of architecture and I'm going to prove it. So join me on my journey through Monster Hunter Wilds. Before we can explore the wide world of Wilds, we first need to do a few tasks, like Among Us. And one of those tasks isn't wires, it includes a story mode and that's looking pretty sus. Like most stories, this one begins with saving a big chicken from a pack of sandworms while riding a boat in the desert. Don't worry, the developers know what they are doing. So after saving the chicken and getting introduced to the cast, oh my god, the developers really know what they are doing. I don't even want to know how many supplementary lore drawings are made of her. Apparently, the chicken carried a child whose brother is in danger in the vast lands of Armenia, and by following the scent of his cologne we are lured in the first battle of the game. Along this let's play, covered as educational content about architecture, we'll stumble upon a variety of creatures unknown to God, ranging from a jacked frog to a literal railgun. The only thing we need to do is to give them a solution to life with one of the weapons that speaks to your mental illness. My favorite one is the insect glaive for 3 reasons. Number 1, you can fly. So after freeing the wildlife from the mortal body, we finally arrive in the main camp of this game. They did it again, another Astera. But don't you worry, I can make something out of this. In my study I've already seen many things that made me believe architecture is more of a suggestion. Welcome to the average working class district in Dubai. Studying this place and finding similar structures requires a vast collection of knowledge and patience, but mostly patience, because this took longer than Joe Biden close to death. Before we knew about galvanized steel or cross-laminated timber, tents were the way to provide a place for habitation. And there are many types of tents, with every type adapted to its own unique climate. They blend in with the surroundings, just like the imposter. Okay, I'll stop with the Among Us jokes, fine. Because we are in an environment that makes Libya look like a reasonable place to live, we'll focus more on the tents that are well known in the Mr. Beast and North Africa. Most of these tents were made from raw materials like wool or hair, but with no goats or camels inside, I'm worried they used the cats. Many civilizations, for instance the Israelites or the Mongols, relied on mobility to resist conquest and used the tents to achieve this. Just like them, our mission is to eradicate every form of life, making tents the meta. And there are still people that abide by this nomadic lifestyle, like the Tuareg, famous for fighting against the French like everyone else in history has done. The best color for your tent in a climate like this is black. It provides shade in hot climates while also absorbing heat for cold conditions. But in wilds there is no need for that. Their shade comes from the hills and the cliffs surrounding them, but what I don't get is why nothing is completely covered. Because when there is some wind and sand is going everywhere, then sand is really going everywhere. On your supplies, your food, at least your bed is covered where you can bully your feline for fun. The tent's framework consists of minimal wooden elements with tension bands and sometimes the bones of behemoths. Unlike other tents that are self-supporting, such as yurts or tipis, these tents are tensile structures. Their stability depends on the tension created by its fabrics and ropes, and because of that you don't really need heavy materials to make a tent highly portable, and that's why this camp could have been made in such a short time. But can we even call a tent a form of architecture? For a long time, architecture has been understood as the art and science of designing and constructing buildings. These buildings are permanent structures made out of, for example, stone, wood or concrete, and with a definition like that, a tent would not count as architecture. But in modern times, architecture is something different. It's the creation of space. Let's explore that further. By constructing tents, you construct space for human use. This space can provide shelter, but it can also reflect cultural, social and aesthetic values, just as a permanent building does. Tents can even function as sacred or political spaces. For instance, the tabernacle in biblical history or Kaaba's tent coverings in Mecca. And don't forget the protest encampments. Tents serve more than a practical purpose. They are able to define a space as sacred or political. If we abide by this perspective, perspective, a tent can be seen as architecture, and my journey would end right here. WILDS doesn't have something like a village, and the only form of architecture can only be called architecture because of a technicality. And I don't feel quite right about it. Monster Hunter was always about letting the urge for animal cruelty go free. Why did I even think they would add something like a village? Architecture wasn't even a suggestion, it's non-existent. The only thing I can do is to take it all out in the first animal I see, and that one looks like a pretty fun victim. It doesn't seem too difficult, so let's try it. Oh god, what's happening? Oh no, run, no! Almost there. Almost there. And even he just ran away. Then what's even there to do? Will it just be an onslaught of murder until I've had enough of this game? What's even the point of buying this $70 game that makes my brain go yank? Why am I even playing? Wait a minute, was that a village? Welcome to Windsong Village. It got its name by the crystals making a serene sound when the wind blows or when I crash into it. This village consists of a few dome-shaped houses made out of stone and mud. They look like old cisterns and ice houses found in Iran, and for good reasons. While the tents in the base camp have the minimal protection for the environment, these buildings are specially made for it. First of all, the materials of which these homes are made are amazing for insulation in a desert climate. The miles of the mud and stone traps heat, so it stays fairly cool inside. When night arrives and the climate becomes much colder, the trapped heat will release. This kind of passive regulation of temperature is used for thousands of years in hot climates. Even in this treacherous world, the inhabitants have the primal urge to decorate. The mud walls are filled with blue-colored crystals and stones organized in a circular pattern. They also have the knowledge of making glass and using it for windows, causing a beautiful scene with the lighting. Something very interesting is the top of the building because of the opening. They already have a window, so it isn't used for letting light penetrate the building. Let me explain. In a desert climate, it's crucial to have good ventilation in your building, because otherwise it becomes too hot and then you die, and we don't want that. We all know from a physics lesson 6 years ago that hot air rises. The hull lets all of the hot air escape, making only the air that's much colder stay, but that's not all. You see, there's something above the hull causing a Venturi effect. The Venturi effect in hot air causes the air to be sucked out of the building, resulting in fresh air entering it. Inside and outside we see circular patterns made with some kind of paint, decorated again with the same kind of crystals. In some parts they resemble a gear, but I don't think the inhabitants know what that is. They don't share any similarities with patterns you see more often in the Middle East or Africa. For some reason they remind me of Yeoman rope patterns on ancient pots in Japan. They also made an appearance in the architecture of the Sheikah in The Legend of Zelda. I don't know why or how these patterns were designed, but maybe I'll encounter a lore explanation after playing this game some more. Windsong Village really feels like a village with the inhabitants roaming the place and the animals running around. Their use of materials really makes it grounded to reality and earth. And I can say without doubt that this is architecture. We have finally found it.